Ahmed Eltweri is a senior lecturer at Liverpool John Moores University, specializing in auditing and finance. His research interests encompass the technological impact of the accounting practices, the implementation of vigorous regulations in accounting and auditing, and their application in developing countries. Today is going to present the case of Libya for the regulations in terms of assessing effectiveness and enhancing AML effort. The stage.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to present my topic today. Libya is very challenging country to be presented on because information to be found is very difficult, and to implement regulations also is not easy. So, and money is also a big case there. They have a lot of money, but there's a lot of corruptions. If I start with first slide, unfortunately, Libya is not a member of most of the organizations, such as Financial Action Task Force. And the problem is that even though they are not members of this organization have left them from the list of countries who are unable to implement regulations. Also, they are not in the blacklist within this particular organizations. Neither they are member of another organization which is called ECAT. But Libya are trying to learn from neighbors countries and more developed countries to try to implement more rigorous regulations in order for them to become part of these kind of organizations. Challenges, obviously, as I said at the beginning, money laundering is a big topic there. Terrorism is a hot topic in a country like Libya, and therefore for them is very well connected to each other. The money is there, tourism is a lot, and security is very minimum, very low, and therefore there is a high chance for money laundering in most of cases. However, since Libya, since the Arab Spring in 2011, Libya is under the Article 7 United Nations, where everything has to be controlled, not controlled, but monitored by the Security Councils. And therefore, there is a lot of cooperations between Libya and international organizations in many scales, and more importantly, anti-money laundering and counter-terrorism finance. Libya have already introduced legalizations, but it's always the implementations of these regulations is the more important. They've tried in 2005 when they introduced law 2005-1, which regulate most of the financial sectors. One of them is anti-money laundering issues. Again, in 2013, the new government's board have issued another law. However, again, it's the implementation of this law is the matter. Later on in 2017, there is a new laws that came up to enhance these regulations. But the challenge that they are facing mostly is the training of the personnel in these financial institutions, not just banks, but there are other institutions that they must be trained in order to track and report these particular activities. So the key challenge is to have a very rigorous legal framework, which is Libya trying to do. But again, it's more about putting the right regulations to enhance the practice in Libya in terms of finance. Again, when we come to building capacity, training through international corporations, international foreign countries, and the United Nations. They can provide this kind of assistance where they have been through many years of experience, so they can pass through this kind of experience to a country like Libya, where it's very obvious terrorist attacks and money laundering usually comes from weak countries where security is very minimum and regulation is very minimum. As I said, training, it must be done through both public and private sectors, not just the financial sector that is controlled by the government, by the country, trying to implement new technology and innovations and taking advantage of new technology to counter these kind of activities and enhance regulations. Evaluations of the status quo is the most important things. Trying to report issues, no matter how small it is, because the smaller it eventually will get bigger one day, and therefore it's better to get rid of it as small issues rather than wait till later and become a big issue where countries like Libya and its capability won't be able to tackle it. So continue evaluations and put new improvement in lower regulations despite the implementations. We know implementing these kind of rules and regulations in Libya is very hard, but it would be naive to just wait until the security status change. So we rather just put the regulations and try to implement it. If not, then we move on until the point where it's already there. We can implement it. So we don't have to wait in that sense. Again, international cooperations, as I said, assistance comes from neighbor countries. We have very collaborative neighbor countries in terms of trainings, in terms of trying to collaborating across the borders, try to smugglers try to avoid money going through the borders, because we know, I mean, Libya is so big countries where vast majority you just walk out of the country without security, and that's a big challenge for Libya to control. So money laundering and money trafficking and human trafficking is a big issue in such country, and therefore all has to stand and support particular countries, especially the ones that are affected. I mean, Europe is mostly affected by this kind of unsecured countries. In terms of technical assistance, Libya do get support from majority of countries that been asked to help. The United Nations are there also. Neighbor countries, as I say, Europe, always there to support and help. But again, we cannot just wait. We have to try and keep trying until the moment where we are able to stand by our own and try to implement these kind of regulations. As I said, regulations, there were 3 main regulations or laws that have been issued in Libya. The first one was in 2005, where regulate most of the financial sectors, and one of the articles is related to anti-money laundering and counter-terrorism financing, and it's not just for financial institutions that need to apply these rules, also non-financial institutions, not just the public, but also the private. And there's a duty, if you don't report these kind of activities, that you are getting troubles, either financially or essentially. Okay. And then the central bank is the main authority to monitor and look after anti-money laundering through a system, through an agency called Financial Information Unit, where they receive all the information from financial and non-financial, private and public companies, and individual people. They report and they analyze these information, and then they pass it through the system to find out try to enhance the law. Challenges, again, they need to set and put the rigorous regulations, not just the one that they have done. It could be enough, but they need to look at other countries and what they've done, try to implement similar regulations. Because we're all affected, not just the country and so on. If there is money laundering in Libya, then it's going to be affecting the whole area and the regions. Again, the other challenge that the institutions that have been established by the central bank, it seems to be weak institutions where they gather information, but they don't analyze them as much as they're supposed to. Again, the enforcement of this law, we know this guy do money laundering. Can we do something about it? That's the problem. This is something that we need to work on. Again, if Libya can't do control their borders, then the neighbor countries should do from their sides. So you cannot just rely on a country that has been under security status for some time to implement such things. Again, we should work on technology and innovations and strengthening the international cooperation, which we do. So we could just increase this to the extra limit. Thank you very much.
So I thank, of course, Ahmed for this brilliant presentation for the case of Libya, because this actually sparing many other cases of countries that are neighboring countries, other similar countries. I want to link this with the previous presentation of Adam that mentioned before the regulatory arbitrage. Of course, unless all the countries are joining all the international frameworks and regulations, there will always be the room for money laundering. So we need to stress the fact that these studies on developing countries and countries that are still lagging on the regulatory frameworks, of course, this will be the Achilles heel for everyone. So